You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on ngscsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
This is the Happy Hour Network.
Pay attention, son. This is for your own good.
This is Montel Hardy of NGSCSports.com and the Cold Front. You're listening to the Earnestly Speaking Podcast.
The Earnestly Speaking Podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Yeah, Earnestly Speaking Podcast. Let's get it. I'm a giant in New York, in Miami carry heat. So much more in store, my product can flood the street. Opinion Nation Godfather, CEO. Puff in the late 90s, gon' see me blow. Oh. Got my hustle on, no imitation of that. Army of untouchables, Opinion Nation staff. Never an off season, homie, check the numbers. Heart throb in my own right, supplying southern comfort. Earnestly speaking, my ego is well fed. Earnestly speaking, you're too evil and no threat. See, I'm like a hurricane, you're a mild breeze. Earnestly speaking, leaving Eli a dynasty.
All right, welcome to the Earnestly Speaking Podcast. I'm your host, Ernest E.J. Christian of NGSCsports.com. Online with me today, of course, he's one of the personalities at KNBR in San Francisco. Also a producer and co-host of the Versus Podcast. You find that on iTunes and Stitcher Radio, one of my favorite podcasts to listen to weekly. My man, Bonta Hill, follow on Twitter at Bonta Hill. Bonta, it's been a while. What's going on, brother?
Man, how you doing, EJ? Happy holidays.
You too, brother. Hey, I got to tell you, man, this Warriors thing ain't stopping. I mean, no. they've made this season really, you know, I don't know, people say it's uninteresting, but I think it's even more fascinating.
Yeah, people saying that it's boring, that the team is boring, or, you know, they're making the NBA season boring. I think it's the complete opposite.
Yeah.
You look at how they're beating teams and what they're beating teams by. I believe their point differential, margin of victory, is between 13 to 15 points a game. Steph Curry's already sat out 6 fourth quarters. And he's playing better than he was in his MVP season.
Mm-hmm.
Klay Thompson is starting to get rolling. We've seen Draymond Green come off that contract extension, fresh off that contract extension, and he's having the best season of his career. He's averaging 13 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. He's leading the Warriors in assists. If you counted hockey assists, Steph Curry will be right up there with hockey assists. Andre Iguodala, submitting himself as a six-man. Festus Ezeli and Andrew Bogut is becoming one of the best combos at center in the league. They're interchangeable. You can start either one. It's fascinating what's going on, man. And the Bay Area is on fire right now with this team. I'm hearing a lot of comparisons to the 80s Niners and the early 90s Niners in the way they were dominating and winning championships and just rolling through teams. This Warriors team has the same feel, and there's only really one player in his prime, and that's Steph Curry. Klay Thompson hasn't hit his prime yet. Draymond Green hasn't hit his prime yet. Harrison Barnes, who has been a lot more aggressive this season and pretty much bet on himself before the season, said, hey, look, I'm not going to sign the contract extension yet. I'm going to play the season out. And he's been a lot more aggressive. He hasn't come close to hitting his prime. So this is just the beginning. I tell a lot of people last year, about the Warriors championship last season.
Yeah.
They won that championship a year ahead of schedule. They didn't even know how to pop champagn, EJ. They didn't even know how to celebrate. They were like, wait, what?
And I think we discussed on this podcast last year. I think you came on the show. Was it after the finals you came on the show or right during the finals? It was after the finals.
It might have been after the finals, maybe right before football season.
Right.
Maybe last year. Yeah, it's been a while.
Right. And, I got to tell you, man, the Warriors make it a lot easier for you guys to handle the Niners, demise a little bit. But, hey, it is what it is. But, like, tonight's game against Boston, like, the big question now with the Warriors every night now, as this streak has gone on for every game, which is now at 23. By the way, and I hope you agree with me on this. It annoys the hell out of me when these media types start saying, "Oh, they've actually won 27 in a row." Dude, stop that.
Yeah.
Seriously,
no, yeah,
man.
no.
It kind of cheapens it a little bit. Yeah, it cheapens it a little bit.
It's 23 because they lost some games in the playoffs, and
yeah, exactly.
It's pretty much the same core, but there's some. David Lee's not here. Justin Holiday's not here. It's some different. Steve Kerr hasn't coached yet. It's 23. I think legitimately fans out here believe it's 23. They're looking at the 23-0 record. They're looking at the 13 being 13-0 on the road to start the season, a new NBA record. I don't think anybody in their right mind that has some sense, some common sense, is going to count last year's games, because you could say, oh yeah, they won 26 or 28, whatever from last year, but they lost some games in the playoffs. So, I mean, no, it's 23-0. That's what we're looking at. To me, they're 4 behind tying the Miami Heat. They're 10, from tying the Los Angeles Lakers of the 33 games in a row. So no, I don't count last season. And I 100% agree with you there.
Yeah, and I gotta agree with you. I gotta say something here too. It may shock you. It's funny because the Heat just did this a couple years ago when they won 27 in a row. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I actually hope they beat the Heat's record. And this is so much fun. This is so much fun. Like, watching the Warriors every night and see them do this.
Right.
And not only that, but the way, like, the difference in the Heat record, like, a couple years ago and the Warriors, like, with the Heat, there was still the pressure of LeBron and, winning more rings and all this stuff around it, all this chaos around the team. It feels like, with the Warriors, it's like, this is no pressure. It's like, we just come out and do what we do. It's like business as usual. No pressure.
Oh, they're playing so loose. They're playing so together. This team has fun. When I'm covering games at Oracle and I'm in that locker room, this team genuinely likes one another. They're having so much fun. And they're great personalities, man. You see the personalities with Steph Curry and Draymond, and even Klay Thompson. Off the court, Klay Thompson has become very well-spoken and very engaging with the media, and he's a likable guy. You talk about the Heat's 27 in a row and how much pressure they had, and it's kind of weird to see the Warriors not play with that pressure, even though they're the defending champions. And I attribute that to a lot of teams taking shots at them, in the offseason, talking about their run was a little bit lucky.
I blame Doc Rivers. I blame Doc Rivers.
Guys. And then you got Boston tonight. You got Avery Bradley and these guys talking like, hey, we're not scared of the Warriors. We don't think they can outscore us or whatever, yada, yada, yada. This team is like, okay, you think this is a fluke? And, of course, you had James Harden touting about not being the MVP last season. So I think Curry's just like, okay, whatever. I'm going to step my game up to another level. And, there's no question who's been the MVP so far this season.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, the guy is, to me, not only the best player right now, to me, like, when people talk about having this conversation about who's the best player in the league right now, I'm sure you have people who still say LeBron, but here's the thing, though. That you're asking the wrong question. To me, it's not so much who's the best player in the league right now. It's who's the most impactful player on their team. And to me, it's by far Steph Curry. It's not even close.
No, it's not even close. And, what's fascinating about watching Steph Curry right now is when he senses things getting tight, when he senses an opposing team making a run, he calmly just sinks a three, just gets everything back in order, which is what MVPs do. MVPs take those big shots and make sure they hit those shots that, that stymies runs, and that's what he's doing. He's making sure, coming out of halftime, his third quarter, I believe he's averaging 12 and a half points a game in the third quarter alone. He's icing games in the third quarter, and then he's chilling the fourth. We've been cheated, EJ, out of at least 3 to 4 50-point games from Steph Curry because he's gone into the fourth with 40 points. And you know what? Luke Walton's like, just take a seat on the bench. You're down for the day. There's no need to play. And I want to add something too. A certain writer out here in the Bay Area, I'm not going to name the name, but was saying that maybe it may be good for the Warriors to lose because they need to think about June. They need to think about long term. They shouldn't be really trying to win every game. And I so disagree with that because you look at Steph Curry. He's only averaging 34, 35 minutes a game. You go look at LeBron, Harden, and all these other superstars, they're playing damn near 40 minutes a game, if not more. This Warriors team, Clay and Draymond, they're playing 32, so they really have fresh legs because they're so deep. Their second unit with Iguodala and Sean Livingston and Festus Ezeli, Leonardo Barbosa, and even now Ian Clark is getting in the mix. They're not getting maxed out. They're not getting fatigued. This team has, and they're young legs as well. So when they do come to the playoffs, they're going to be just as fresh as everybody because of the way they're structured. Steph Curry's not playing more than 34, 35 minutes a game. So, for people who think, maybe a loss should be good, maybe they shouldn't be, no, screw that. Keep on winning. Why not chase history? These are goals. These are just goals that you can set for yourself in season. They're like, we can try to get 33. Well, you know what? Let's try to get that. And if we don't, we don't. We're still 23-1. But that's a lot of people are saying, maybe they should just drop one. No. This team's not.
Now I need to find who that rider is now. I want to know who it is now. Let's go to the schedule real quick. Okay, so tonight they play Boston. We record this on a Friday afternoon, so they're playing Boston, which to me, before the Cavs game on Christmas, you can argue this is the toughest game of the stretch. Okay,
right.
I said throughout this road trip, before the road trip even started, I said the 3 games. I posted on social media. I said the 3 games that I thought will be the biggest landmines through the 7-game road trip was Utah, which they almost lost, which was Toronto, which almost lost.
Yep.
And then Indiana, and then Indiana, we saw what happened on Tuesday with Indiana. I mean, that was whatever.
Right.
So tonight they play Boston, which I think is the toughest of the next stretch before Christmas. Boston's pretty sneaky good this year. I still see them winning that game though, but I think this is the biggest hurdle. If Clay doesn't play, especially too, that could be an issue maybe. Yeah. But other than that, I see a winner.
That could be a big issue. Yeah, no, you're exactly right. In Boston last year, folks remember, they had the Warriors. They were up on the Warriors 20-plus points last year at the TD Garden last season before the Warriors made a miraculous comeback and rallied. So this team, they match up. Isaiah Thomas gets his. Avery Bradley, very good defender. And if you don't have Clay to help space the floor, it could be an issue tonight for the Warriors. I'm looking at the schedule. I look at Phoenix, and they don't play a lot of defense, but it's the Warriors' first game back at home from a long road trip. They'll have a couple of days off. Those are usually tricky. I believe the Warriors will get by Phoenix, but watch that one. That could be tricky. Everybody, I was looking at Utah December 23rd, but Rudy Gobert is out. The Jazz big inside presence, so I think the Warriors roll there. And then Cleveland, I think the Warriors really want to make a statement Christmas Day. I think they want to embarrass the Cavaliers because of what Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. Hey, we were there in the finals. We win hands down. Not a problem. And you know what? The Warriors, they never forget that. That's in the back of their mind. So, we may see this team going to 2016 undefeated. No L's. And that right there is just absolutely mind-boggling.
No lie, but Bonta, no lie, though. I think the only game other than tonight I'm worried about is tomorrow night against Milwaukee on the back-to-back. Because Milwaukee's weird. They're really weird.
Milwaukee is weird. They got the bigs. They've struggled a bit this year. I'm not sure what's going on up there. I haven't watched many Bucks games. Michael Carter-Williams, I know he was out a couple games, but Jabari Parker's been in and out the lineup. Giannis, the Greek freak, he's been playing well, but Greg Monroe doesn't seem to fit. I thought he'd be making a bigger impact in Milwaukee than he has so far from the games I've watched. I don't know about that team, but you're right. Back-to-back in Milwaukee. It's going to be cold up there. It's always a tricky place to play, just like Salt Lake City when you're playing the Utah Jazz. So, yeah, these next two games are very, very tricky. I could see them dropping either one.
Right. All right, let's talk about the scope as a whole, the entire landscape. And I guess mainly it was during the Western Conference because obviously, it's funny, Golden State's been playing so well this year, obviously, and yet and San Antonio is playing some good ball too, and nobody's talking. Now, granted, they prefer to keep it that way, but nobody's talking about the San Antonio Spurs. Do you still feel like the Spurs are the biggest threat, and are they even a threat still to the Warriors, given what we've seen this year?
Absolutely, because they could do some things that other teams can't. And that is, they could throw Kawhi Leonard on Steph Curry or Klay Thompson and cause major problems. Danny Green is nothing to laugh at defensively. He can hold his own on either on Klay Thompson. So if you have Kawhi and Danny Green who can